What's going on, guys? Cody here with Dangle Nation. Guys, are you headed to a new lake? Are you fishing a tournament trail? Or you just want to try a new lake out, kind of figure out the one that you live on? Today's video is all about e-scouting and how it can benefit you on any body of water that you're about to go to. So y'all stick around. All right, guys, so what exactly is e-scouting and what is it that we talk about? I talked about e-scouting in a video we just did. I'll link that in the description box and right here so y'all can check it out. But basically, e-scouting is using every tool except physically going to an area that you're going to fish. So e-scouting is when you take the electronics, you take your computer, you take your phone, you take any of these apps that are available to you as a consumer, and you break down a body of water before you head there. And so today I want to kind of break down what we do when we're looking for lakes. I've selected 3 lakes that are very popular lakes in the U.S. Some people have fished them that watch these videos, some have not. It just depends. I have never fished the lakes that I'm going to break down today, and I'm going to show you how I would personally do e-scouting and what I would look for before I head to it. Some benefits of e-scouting are it saves you gas, saves you time, saves you energy, saves you time on the water, or wasted time on the water, if you will. So let's get into it, guys. Let's break down these 3 lakes, and let me give you some key spots or some hot spots that I would check given the time of year that it is now. All right, guys, so the first thing I'm going to do when I'm about to go to a lake is I'm going to pull up Google Maps. So today, we're on screen right here. We're going to look at Grenada Lake. Never been in my life, but it's a lake that I possibly could fish in the future. So if I was going to break it down, here's what I would do. First thing you can see on screen here, we're at Grenada Lake, right? So I'm going to look around at kind of what we're working with. So we have the dam on this end, right? We have a bridge right here, and then we have another bridge. I thought we saw one, yeah, right here. This little, what is it, Elam South Road. So already off the bat, I know, okay, we have 2 bridges. We have 2 main fingers of the lake. So fingers are like these big sections right here. This one comes up north, and this one kind of runs east. And then we have the dam. So given that information, we know that this is the deepest part of the lake over here at the dam. And then we're going to kind of work from that. We are going into the spring right now. So right now, the fish are going to be at the mouths of rivers and river channels. So they're going to be kind of up in these areas, up here, kind of like this area here. And they're going to be, a lot of fish are going to be suspended. And there's going to also be a lot of thick, big schools that are kind of running up and down these river channels. So right off the bat, I don't necessarily like this Elam Road side. We can see that it comes down to a natural choke point right here on this Clear Springs Creek area. You can see lots of water flow right here. You can see lots of underwater channels right here. So is it a possibility? Yes. Now, if I'm remembering right, Grenada Lake is one that they control the pool on. So they drain it during this time of year, if I remember right. I'm sure y'all will let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong on that. But just from what I'm looking at, it looks kind of narrow, kind of dry. Now, the next step that I would do, let's say I do want to get more interested in this area right here. Me personally, I'm going to pull around. I'm going to look for parking and access to the water. So I'm going to zoom in here on this road, and I can see, okay, this was under construction at some point here in the recent history, because you can see the equipment on the road, you can see them working. I don't see any pull-offs or anything on this particular part of the road here. But let me go down here. Yeah, same thing. So let's do this. Let's hop down to this other bridge down here. And it looks like it's a peninsula. Gray Sport Crossing Road, and I'm just kind of looking around trying to see, okay, what do we have here? What do we have going on here? Lots of bank line right here. Is there any parking areas? I don't know. I don't see any right offhand. There we go. So there's, looks like a boat ramp right there. Bam. So just like that, I now know there's a boat ramp. So from here, what I would do is I'd grab my little yellow guy here. Whee! And I'm going to drop him. Boom, right there. Because now what I'll do is I get a real feel for what I'm looking at. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to pull up to the bridge. I'm going to see, okay, there's standing timber right out here. We got this finger of the lake that goes over here. It looks like some structure over in this way. But I want to also see what this boat ramp's about. So is it a good boat ramp? Does it have a lot of parking? Does it have a lot of space? Is it something that we can use? Is it old and worn out? Is it something that I feel comfortable using? And from the looks of it, yeah, it looks like it's perfectly well maintained. Looks like a good spot. So there we go. We have an access point for a boat on Grenada Lake. I see this finger right here, this point right here, right off the bat. I see all the standing timber. So this gives me an idea of what I'm looking at. So let me pull back out. Actually, before I do that, there's another thing that you can do right here. So I like this finger that's pointed out right here. So what I can do is, see this option right here that says see more dates? I'm going to click see more dates, and I'm going to look at, okay, we have a 2014 view. So let's switch into the 14 view. Boom. So look at that. The lake is almost empty on this view. So what this does is it really kind of shows you the topography of the lake and potential spots that fish might hang out. Because what we're going to get into is looking for terrain features. But here, right here, I can see there's a saddle right here. There's an island right here. And then there's this big drawn out point that comes out and comes over to right here. So I see that point there, and I see this point here off of this saddle. So I already have earmarked right off the gate, I'm going to put my boat in the water. The first thing I'm going to do is go check this point, kind of the backside of this valley right here, and this saddle. Well, let's spin around and see what we have over here and go back down the bridge. So we have kind of a similar situation as we go across this bridge. I want to jump all the way up to where I got a clear view of what we're working with. So look at that. Stump field galore. So you're going to be busy if you come to this lake. It's going to be fishing probably like fork, but there's that saddle I was talking about. There's the island. There's that point, and in the distance you can see that point right there. So goodness, there's a lot of stumps on this one. So if you love to fish timber, this is a good part of the lake to go to. So let's back off of Street View, and let me show you another view that Google offers that you can scout with. All right, guys, so that is just a quick how I would use Google Maps. So Google Maps, you can stay on the Street View. You can kind of look around. If you don't have live scope, it's a great tool to do what I just did. Drop that lake down to the historic pictures, and you can see that there was no, and you can see that the lake level went down, and you can pick out key terrain features that you like. Now, let's hop back on screen here. Now, another tool that I love to use is called Google Earth. You just type in google.com/earth, and I typed in Grenada Lake, Mississippi right here. Let's go to that same area right around this bridge. So this bridge right now, if you'll notice across the top, we have all these dates selected here. So we have from 1985 all the way through to 2024. We can gather so much information with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to go 2012. I'm going to slide that view to 2012. Look at that, guys. It dropped us to a bare bones, dang near empty lake, guys. So what this does for me is it shows me very vividly, very clearly, it shows me the creek channel, the main creek channel for Grenada Lake. Now what I want to do is I want to follow that out to the main lake portion, because as we come out of springtime, these fish are going to move deeper. Well, this can show us the exact path basically that they're going to use. You can see that they're going to kind of stay in the middle in line with this bridge, and then as we get further out towards this main point, so keep in mind you're looking for terrain features too, this main finger off the Choctaw public use area, and across from this finger, that river kind of doglegs up closer to the bank. So if you can get into this public use area and kind of hit this bank, which look right there, guys, boom, parking lot. There's another boat ramp right there. Grenada Lake's got a lot of boat ramps. But what you could do is you could walk down to this point here, guys, and you could fan cast all around here, because that creek channel is going to run right here in front of this island. Now, if you're on a boat, obviously you can follow it deeper, but check it out over here. So we have all these features over here that we could check out. So I don't know the depth of this, but it's showing you that there's this peninsula, if you will. So let's jump back up to today's date, 2024, and it's still out of water. 2023, boom, look at that, completely submerged, guys. So now we know that there's a drop off and a finger right here that juts out into the main body of this arm of the river. So let's go out to the main lake. Let's say we're hitting this lake summertime. We're looking for fingers, we're looking for drop-offs, stuff like this. So you have these submerged islands right here. So in 2012, these were exposed, so we can earmark that, okay, just west of Carver Point off the main lake bend is a couple of islands. Now, right now in 2012, they're out of the water. Let's jump to 2020. Look at that, completely submerged, guys. So that gives us some terrain features that we can look at. We can say, okay, if I want to fish the backside of an island or the drop-off or a saddle, kind of where fish would stage, I'm hitting all these points right here. I'm coming up to these points right here, and I'm going to check those out. This is, again, for the boat. Now, look at this over here in the main lake. There's another finger that juts out, and you can check that out. So we'll go back to 2020 when the lake seems to be the fullest, and it's completely submerged. So let's jump down to like 06 and see what it looked like. So same thing. So we got a lot of more terrain features. So that's how you can use Google Earth for main lake points and main lake features. Okay, so now let's jump over to another lake and let's look at a couple of things on another lake. All right, guys, so that was Grenada. So another very popular lake that everyone knows about is actually here in Texas, my home state, Lake Fork. So let's jump in and look at some Lake Fork options. So right off the bat, I'm just on Google Earth, like I said. It's just, I mean, not Google, I'm sorry. I went back to Google Maps, and I'm just kind of looking at the lake itself. I'm just kind of assessing what I think. And another thing that you can do is look at the sides of it and kind of prejudge, okay, how long do I need to stay there? What do I need to do to be successful and successfully break down this lake? Given your budget, given your timeline, can I allot one afternoon? Can I allot 1 week? Right? So you got to figure out what your timeline is, and zooming out and looking at the lake like this, you can really get a feel for, okay, this lake's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas that I really want to check out, especially this time of year going into spring. Going into spring, I really want to follow the main creek. So it's been said before that crappie, when they go to spawn, they go to the northernmost part of the lake. I don't know how true that is. Some lakes is true, some lakes it's not. It's just something that I've heard. So given Fork right here, it appears that this point here and this point over here by Big Star or Coffee Creek Landing would be the northernmost points. So that's something that you can look at, and specifically if you don't have a boat, you can use these features to find access points that you can get down to. So we can see here that there's looks like a potential fish house right here over on the northeast side of the lake. So there's a potential fish house for you to hit. But also you can switch over to Google Earth like we were, and let's type in Lake Fork. So let's X out of this one, and let's go Lake Fork, Texas. Oh, well, it gets it. You get it. So let's jump over. It's going to slide us over to Lake Fork. And then let's come back over to this area that we're looking in right here, which is up by these bridges. And let's see. So there's not a fish house on the whatever year this is, 2026. So that fish house is a new feature. And look at that. So we just figured out, okay, this has actually been added. So maybe this is a good spot, because when was this added? Very recently. 2022 it wasn't there, and 2023 it is there. So that's a new spot that y'all can hit if you're beating the bank. Another thing that you can do, like I said, you can pull in here and you can look. Texas is very notorious for having pull-offs that you can drive down onto. And another thing that you can do is, like I said, take your little yellow guy, drop it in there. What I mean by pull-offs is these little side roads that you can see right here. See this little dogleg road? Some of them are illegal to use, so keep that in mind. Make sure you're doing the right thing. But some of them have these little roads that you can pull down onto. You can park and you can get down into creeks and reservoirs. Creeks and river bottoms and stuff like that. So if we go back to Google Earth, let's say we follow that road, we parked right here, and we want to, it looks like it still continues down here, but at a minimum we can beat the bank right here. Well, let's see. Let's go down to like 2012 and see. Okay, so there's a lot of, it's kind of blurry, but there's a lot of terrain features there. Let's go. I want to try to find a pretty clear image. And what I'll do is I'll zoom in and I'll look for key terrain features. It looks like there's a stump field right here, which would not surprise me because Fork is a flooded forest. So let's go 19. Let's go 20. I'm just looking at the years, just kind of seeing what we have. So boom, right there. It looks like 22 is going to be our most fruitful our most fruitful information. Look at that, guys. See that fella right there? I guarantee you he are doing exactly what we're doing here. They e-scouted. They figured out what they wanted to hit, and they came and they beat the bank. Now, let's jump over and let's act like we're back on the boat now. That was specific to people that don't have a boat. So let's say I have my boat. You're using a live scope or you're not. It's totally up to you. Let's just zoom in somewhere right here on this main lake. Right here. So we have this island right here. So that island, it comes off of the main bank. It's connected. It comes out. We know that crappie like drop off so they can ambush. There's a drop off. The fish will sit there and they'll ambush. And we know that they like the fingers. So like if a terrain naturally comes out and makes a natural finger and has structure on it, we know that the fish love to come to the end of that finger and sit there. Well, look at this. We have an island, but it's also a little terrain feature. It looks like a finger. So it comes out, and you can even see right here in the water how it drops down underneath the water. So I would personally, this is more of a summertime spot, it would look, because it's off the main lake. I would spring, early summer, I would definitely come in here. We zoom in. Clearly, we see all the trees, all the stuff underneath it. Now, look at that. See this row of trees right here that we're seeing? That's good knowledge. That's good to know. Okay, when the lake was at this level, when the island was exposed, we have a tree line right off of this. And I think there's a way that you can measure this distance. Yeah, so you can measure from here to here. So 212 meters. So we'll just lock that in. And even if you have to take a picture, take your phone, boom. We know that 212 meters south from that island is our underwater row of trees. Now, Fork is full of trees, but just pretend it's not. And that we just zoomed in and we saw, okay, this is like this. That's in 2022, guys. Let's jump up to 2023 and see what we have. Boom, look at that. Completely underwater. The island's underwater. The trees are back underwater. But we know that they're there. We know that that island's there. We know that that tree line is 212 meters off. And guys, I can't make this up. Look what's in the picture right there. There's a fella right there on his boat crappie fishing. Right where I said we should go. I'm just assuming he's crappie fishing. But play around with it. We know that underwater trees are right there. And if you have a lake that doesn't have a lot of underwater features, doesn't have a lot of terrain on it, doesn't have a lot of stuff for fish, these key terrain features are what are going to set you up for success. If you have a slick bottom lake and you can come use this tool and find these underwater features like this, guys, it's going to play and pay dividends to your success on the water. Now, let's hop off the computers and let me show you another tool that we use when we're e-scouting for crappie fishing. All right, guys, so another tool. So some good news and some bad news. The bad news is a tool that we used to use is called Navionics, and it used to be an online topographical map. I'll tell you right now, I'll be completely honest with y'all. The topographical map probably helps us more than anything else out of everything I've talked about. If you can look at and read and understand how to read a topographical map, that will help you probably more than anything else that we got going. A lot of y'all don't know this. I spent a lot of time in the Army. One of the things that we had to do was learn how to read a map, period. Me and Roger and Real both can read maps pretty daggone well. So there's a couple of terrain features that I want you to really hone in on and I want you to really focus on. Navionics maps used to have this before Garmin bought them out. So the most expensive way to get a topographical map of every lake that you want is to go through their website, pay $150, $200, whatever it is, if you want to. Please don't feel obligated to do that. I don't even do that. What I do have, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything, is this app called FishBrain. Now, FishBrain is great because it lets you see catches that have been made, waypoints for people that do it. It's actually pretty cool. It's a big community that uses the app and kind of puts what they catch, where they catch, and how they catch it. But the thing I like about it the most, and the feature that I use the most on it, is this topographical map feature, guys. So you can see that this map, when you pull it back, it has all of the terrain features that you want in the body of water that you're looking at. I'm still on Lake Fork, but these topographical maps are fantastic for showing you where things are on the lake. So when I'm talking about a drop-off, what I want you to look for on a topographical map is the lines on the map will be stacked very close to each other. And so what I have is right here is a good example of that. I don't know how to get this crosshair off of here. So I'm going to try to, I wish I could get this crosshair off here. I don't like it. There it goes. So what it looks like, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here, is you have this topographical map right here, trying to get it to focus. And you see these terrain lines right here? See these terrain lines, how they start off close and then they kind of spread out. And then also you can see on the screen, it starts at 11 foot and it ends at 47 foot. That's what a drop-off looks like when you're using a topographical map. Just so y'all get another view at it. Starts off dry ground, tight, 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 and it starts to slack off, slack off, slack off. Boom, now we're at the drop-off. That is the drop-off. One thing I want you to know about a drop-off is if you can find a lake that doesn't have many terrain features but has a drop-off, and in that drop-off, aka on the side of that drop-off, is like a tree or a stump or some riprap that's just a pile of rocks, please hit it with your side imaging and then pull up on it with a live scope if you can. Another thing I want to teach you about are these fingers. We always talk about all these fingers. You know, these fingers that come off islands, these fingers that come out onto the lake. So a finger, what it looks like on a topographical map, it's the same thing as a drop-off. It'll have all these contour lines that are real tight, and they kind of make a finger. But it comes out it juts out, and so what that looks like is that right there. So see how it starts on dry land and it works its way out, and then it's got a drop-off, but it's a finger, guys. It's literally called a finger because that's what it looks like. It starts on the dry land, and it's just a piece of land that comes out. Now, a lot of times you can see these fingers with your naked eye. What you're looking for is a piece of terrain, It's just the dirt just comes out onto a point. Usually, guys, if you can get around those points, around the ends of those points right in there, around stuff like that, around in there, if there's brush or anything like that, that's a fantastic spot for fish to also sit and congregate, and we catch a lot of fish like that. So another terrain feature that I want to teach you about, it's called a saddle. So a saddle is kind of like your chest. You have a high point on the left, high point on the right, the middle, the valley. That's called a saddle. So what does that look like on a map? Let me zoom around here and see if I can find one. There's one right here. So guys, look. So this is a very, very faint, very light saddle, but it is a saddle nonetheless. So you can see right here, we have a high point there and a high point there, and in the middle, see those tight contour lines? So what that looks like in real life is you have the two spots, and then in the middle, you have the deep water. Saddles are great for early summer, midsummer fishing. They're really good at holding fish. Here's an example of one that's spread out pretty far. So you have your two saddle points right here, one right here, one right here, one right here. See that land in the middle? That land in the middle, if there's brush piles or trees on it, those typically hold a lot of fish as well. So you just got to get on the map, guys. Those are the top 3 terrain features that I look for, that Roger and Reel looks for. Those are things that we're always checking out. And like I said, FishBrain, the FishBrain app, again, we're not sponsored by them, but it's the cheapest version topographical map that I could find to show y'all and give y'all examples for. And guys, a lot of these see, like this is an underwater finger right here. So see how right here, there's that finger, but if you zoom out, there's nothing there. It's in the middle of the lake. So that's just an underwater finger. So it's underwater. Same thing I was talking to you about, but it's underwater, and you can mark it with your phone. You can screenshot it like, boop, see, boom, I got that screenshot. And you can pull up to it and you can fish on it. Another thing that I like about this app is that it shows you a lot of things. It shows you where boat ramps are. It shows you where people have caught fish. It's a great community tool. I use it sometimes. I use the topographical feature more than anything. And then, of course, if we're moving into rivers like we are now, if we're getting into that time of year where we go into rivers, just go with the old faithful, guys. Take your fishing pole, get you a 7.2, a 10-foot Pro SE, Outlaw Crappie pole, head to the rivers, head to wherever you can get into a slick of water, put a bobber on that thing, drop a minnow underneath it, and go catch some fish, guys. If you have any questions about anything I showed you in the video today, please let me know in the comment section below. Guys, I sincerely appreciate you checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, if it brought value to you, please feel free to share it to a friend, a family member, anyone who you think would benefit from some of these tools or some of the features that we have here, guys. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you check out this playlist right here, and we will catch you on the next one. Don't stop the dangle. Peace!